Welcome into Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. Jeffrey Cooperstein here. Hope everyone enjoyed their weekend so far. Media Day is here, which means the 25-26 NBA season is officially underway. The Mavericks are headed up to the Pacific Northwest to go take part training camp in Vancouver tomorrow, and there's some good news coming out of Mavericks Media Day, which took place today. We'll start with the injury updates, and Jason Kidd said everyone is cleared to practice tomorrow, except for Kyrie Irving, which we knew he was going to be out for the first half of the season anyways. And I do think that is pretty good news because there was some speculation surrounding Anthony Davis and whether or not he would be available for the start of the season, given his detached retina that he had surgery on in July. He was still rehabbing from. And if you saw some pictures at Media Day over on Twitter, you could still see that his eye is not fully healed. And Davis admitted that he's going to have to wear protective eyeglasses for the rest of his NBA career. And he mentioned the great Horace Grant, who had to do the same, Chicago Bulls NBA champ, longtime NBA great power forward. But it sounds like Davis going to be ready to practice. And I do think that is absolutely key because this Mavericks season goes nowhere without Anthony Davis. And I think we all know that. They need him healthy. They need him on the court. They need him to have a full preseason and to fully ramp up. And by the time the Mavericks play the San Antonio Spurs, they need Anthony Davis to be ready to play 35 minutes a night. Hopefully, they can get through training camp, get through preseason without any of that being an issue, and he'll be ready to go. And this is, not good news because you never want to wish injuries on players, but De'Aaron Fox of the San Antonio Spurs admitted at their media day that he likely will not be ready for opening night. So the Mavericks could be catching a big break to at least start the season where they're not going to have to play one of San Antonio's best players in De'Aaron Fox. Now, they did draft Dylan Harper with the number 2 overall pick, so they'll still have very formidable guard play there in San Antonio, but they're going to be without Fox for maybe at least the first game, which of course takes place at the American Airlines Center against the Dallas Mavericks. So everyone ready to go except for Kyrie, which is great. And speaking of Kyrie, he's not ahead of schedule like some have reported, but he is on schedule according to Jason Kidd and others. And Kyrie himself said he just really doesn't want to put a timeline on things, and he wouldn't say he's ahead of schedule. And Jason Kidd said it was unfair to label Kyrie as ahead of schedule. But we all saw the videos of him doing shooting drills up in the Dakotas and getting a good sweat in, and everything looks to be going in the right direction for Kyrie to return right around when we thought he was going to return. The end of January, the beginning of February, could extend to after the All-Star break, which I still think it might. But the Mavericks aren't in any rush to get Kyrie Irving back because they feel very confident in D'Angelo Russell's ability to be able to run the team for the first half of the season. And look, I think Russell is going to have a lot of pressure on him here in the preseason and in training camp because Jason Kidd did not name him the starting point guard of this team to start the year. And I'm not surprised by this necessarily because I think Kidd really likes to have the competition in training camp and in preseason to see who's really going to step up. But is it possible that D'Angelo Russell just really struggles in preseason and Brandon Williams takes off and he's the opening night starting point guard? I could see it happening, but at the end of the day, they brought in D'Angelo Russell for a reason. They used the taxpayer mid-level exception on him because they believed in him and his abilities to at least tread water until Kyrie comes back. And Klay Thompson said, once we get Kyrie Irving back, there's no reason that this team can't win the NBA championship. Now, I think that's a little too much maybe, but I love the optimism that Klay Thompson has for this Mavericks team. Where do you think the Mavs are going to finish in the Western Conference this year? Do you think that they are going to have home court in the first round, seeds 1 through 4? Do you think they're a 5 through 6 team where they're going to avoid the play-in? Or do you think they're a play-in team? Or do you think they could even miss the playoffs? Let me know down there in the comment section where you think this Mavericks team could finish in the Western Conference. We'll get to more Media Day takeaways in just a moment, but I do need to tell you guys about the sponsor of today's show, which of course is PrizePicks. We are so excited to welcome PrizePicks back to the channel for the season. I absolutely cannot wait. You and I make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this basketball season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Look, we're in the middle of football season right now. I'm headed to Gainesville this weekend for Texas and Florida, and you know that I'll be playing PrizePicks in Florida, which is one of 40 states that you can play PrizePicks in, also in Texas, in California, and in Georgia as well. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 2 times in the same lineup. If you want to pick more on Josh Josh Allen's passing yards, rush yards, and touchdowns. You can do all of that in the same lineups only on PrizePicks. Follow other PrizePicks players directly as well on the app. Copy their lineups in one click. It's a friend, celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button on every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. How you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, you can use the flex play where you can still get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. I'm a big power play guy. If you get one pick right, you lose your money, but you can get paid up to 2,000 times your cash. PrizePicks also offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks won't count it as a loss. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, that's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. Some more takeaways and just observations from Media Day. Apparently, Dereck Lively has grown a couple of inches. He was listed at 7'1" last season. He says he's now 7'2", 7'3", as he grew a couple inches in the offseason. And I guess that does make sense because he is still a young kid. He's 20 years old, 21 years old. So definitely has room to grow. And I think this is going to be a big season for Dereck Lively. Coming into his third year in the league, I wouldn't say he's fallen short of expectations because he was so good in his rookie year, but he's dealt with a bunch of injuries. He had foot surgery in the offseason that apparently he's fully recovered from and is fully ready to go. Daniel Gafford, his fellow big man, said that he thinks Lively is in for a breakout year, and the Mavericks are going to need that from Dereck Lively because they want to keep Anthony Davis at the 4 as long as they possibly can, and if AD is playing the 4, that means Lively and Gafford are staying healthy, and that means the Mavericks as a team are staying healthy. I think Lively can really expand his game on the defensive end as well. I think he can be a very good rim protector in the league, and is he going to shoot threes this year? I know we've talked about it for a couple of seasons now as to whether he's going to stretch the floor or not. He took the one shot in the finals that he made, but we haven't seen him attempt a 3 since. And I think he needs to show that he's able to finish in the paint consistently and needs to show that he's able to play around the basket before we try to stretch him out and make him a true stretch big like a Brook Lopez type almost, which would be awesome if the Mavericks could get there, but I don't see that happening at least this season. And going back to Jason Kidd really not naming a starting lineup, could we see Gafford be the opening night starting center? Will it be Dereck Lively? I think it may depend on matchup at some point, what Jason Kidd decides to do, but we'll see what happens. I do think this Mavericks team has a lot of versatility, a lot of options at their disposal in order to create as best matchups as they can on a night-to-night basis. Does that mean Anthony Davis might get a couple of starts at the 5? Maybe. Does that mean Cooper Flagg might get a couple of starts at the 4? Maybe. That's the most exciting thing about this Mavericks team, in my opinion, is the versatility and the amount of lineup options that they have. And once again, I know I'm beating a dead horse. It's all predicated on the health of this team. They stay healthy, the options are there, they can be a good team. They get hurt, the options aren't there, their depth goes away, and that takes away their best asset. It's all predicated on staying out of the medical treatment center at the American Airlines Center, and hopefully they can do that. And one last takeaway I had from Media Day is, where's the general manager? General manager not speaking on Media Day? Is he turning into Leon Rose of the New York Knicks, who just doesn't want to do any media things whatsoever? I think if you are the face of the team, which for better or worse, he made himself the face of the team, the general manager needs to speak at Media Day. And I think that is plain and simple. I don't think there's any way around that. And look, you want to get his thoughts, whether, again, good or bad, on what he thinks the outlook of this team is and for the future. And the fact that he's not speaking at Media Day is something that I just really don't like, and hopefully he will, have a media session here during training camp in the preseason with somebody to give us some sort of insight into what he's thinking for this team going forward. But I don't like the fact that he didn't speak at Media Day. Not a fan that the Mavericks leadership, so to speak, whether it's ownership, whether it's the front office, just isn't a front-facing leadership group, so to speak. We have to hear from Jason Kidd to give messages to the Mavericks fans about what the front office wants, and I just don't think that's right. Rick Welts, Nico Harrison, Patrick Dumont, we got to hear from you guys. We got to know that you guys have the best interest in the Mavericks at at heart, and that is what you're trying to do with this team, to try to put a championship team on the floor. That was, I think, the biggest miss from Media Day, in my opinion. Besides that, I listened to a little bit of what Cooper Flagg had to say. I really think that Flagg is going to be a special player for this Mavericks team. I really do. Excited to see the challenges that Jason Kidd throws at him, because I think Jason Kidd's going to throw a lot at him, especially early in the season. You'll see him handling the ball. You'll see him playing some point forward. You'll see him playing some 4. I could even see him playing some small ball 5. I do think that's a possibility for the Mavericks this season. Now, how often that'll be used, that remains to be seen. But the possibilities are endless for this team, and I'm very, very excited to see what comes in the days and weeks leading up to the 25-26 NBA season. The Mavericks head out to Vancouver tomorrow, and they'll begin practices, and then the first preseason game will be next Monday, as the Mavericks are in Fort Worth and taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who, by the way, play in Charlotte the night before. So OKC might not be playing anyone, but we're 7 days away from Mavericks basketball being played. That is a very, very exciting proposition. That will do it for today's show, guys. I appreciate you for tuning in to Mavericks Today by Chad Sports. Just wanted to give you a little Media Day update. And of course, if anything happens with the Mavericks in Vancouver, you know where to find it. It's right here on the channel.